Hello everyone, my name is Vladimir and I'm the author of Architecture Newsletter, 10 articles, books, videos on software architecture and system design every Sunday. It's time for issue number 38 and this time I want to try adding a new format because some of you said it will be convenient to listen to an issue rather than reading due to the lack of time. So let's start. And I want to start with the article by Uberblock about reducing the logging cost by 2 orders of magnitude using the CLP. In this article, they cover how they generate tons of data and logs generated by their Spark jobs, and how it costs a lot of them in cloud infrastructure. So they decided to apply a special log4j appender using CLP and reduce the amount of storage required for those logs, like 2 orders of magnitude. So please find the details in the first article of the issue. Next thing I want to share is the complete system design series. I stumbled upon a very good series on Medium. It includes a lot, like really a lot of articles about what system design is in particular, the examples of system designs for like big companies like Twitter or Instagram or Dropbox, or for some like general systems that we use every day called like URL shortener or web crawlers and so on and so on. So the list of the series includes really good articles about like scaling, load balancing, caching, database sharding, and all that stuff. So feel free to go through all the series. Okay, next thing is a distributed architecture concepts by Gergely Oresh. So he's really famous for his The Pragmatic Engineer newsletter that gained like hundreds of thousands of followers. And his newsletter became popular with this particular article, distributed architecture concepts that he learned while building a large payment system. So when he was working in Uber, he got acquainted with all those ideas about distributed systems, like what an SLA is, what is the availability, what is the scaling for system, what's the difference between horizontal, vertical scaling, and all that stuff. So go through the article as well. Another thing I'm mentioning is the end-to-end field level encryption for Apache Kafka. And this article is about the security while using Apache Kafka, or actually any other streaming solution. So the problem here is the following. When you deal with data which induces a high level of privacy or security, like some personal data or like bank accounts or anything like that, and you're using a streaming solution, you really need to make sure that this data is protected. Not only inside the Kafka cluster, but actually during ingesting data into that and extracting data from the Kafka. So you need some solution to encrypt it, and the Kryptonit is a solution that can help you. So please find the details in the article inside. Next one is about GraphQL at Block, which previously was called Square. So they're using GraphQL for a lot of their internal data, like merchants, hardware, devices, payments, and so on. And when you have a lot of those GraphQL's APIs, they can be really hard to consume for their clients. So they decided to unify them under a single GraphQL API. And in this article, they describe how they did it and what were the pros and cons of this solution, what are the problems, and so on. So feel free to use it, especially if you're already using GraphQL. Next one is a no-code permissions with code and Permit.io. And this article is about how to combine those two brilliant pieces of the technology, the Conch API gateway and the Permit.io, a solution to manage the permissions with like no code or very little amount of code. So here you will find the explanation how to combine those things. Like when you're having an API gateway and you want to configure a lot of permissions, like for different groups of your users, and you really want to spend as little time for that task as possible. And this is where Pyramid.io solution helps you. And in this article, Charles Kramer describes how to do that, like how to configure that, what to do, how to combine them, etc. So please find all this useful information there. Next one is about spending money on Kubernetes. So Kubernetes became really widespread in terms of distributed systems, managing containers, and so on. But like every piece of infrastructure that you have and you run in cloud will cost you money, right? So as Kubernetes being a pretty complex system, it also has a lot of things that will induce cost to you. And you need to understand where this cost comes from and what you might think about to reduce this cost. So Danielson, the author of the article, considers what is actually a cost of a product and provides several lessons about what you should be focusing on and what can be abandoned, what you should consider, what is important and what not, and so on and so on. So go through the article. Next one is about Discord's lesson, and like Discord is a very famous chatting solution, and they have like 4 billion messages going a day, and this is like crazy amount, right? And they store those messages, of course, and they want the storage be both resilient, reliable, and cost effective and fast, right? They're using GCP for storage, and they're using the local disk for SSDs for the speed. And the problem is that they want it to be really low latency. And in this article, they describe how they combined like the local SSDs with persistent disks, which provide snapshotting, reducing redundancy, and so on, into a super disk, and how they really reduced the latency and like kept all the other important qualities. So yeah, article by Discord. Another one is about the Stack Overflow architecture. So many people think that in Stack Overflow they use a lot of microservices, they have a lot of caches and so on, but their application architecture is really small, right? So they're just using a monolith application. They have like single load balancer. They have a very small amount of caching. And like a single entity for search, so be it Elasticsearch. And like, yeah, this post is from 2016, but it aged really well. So yeah, feel free to know how the biggest like Q&A site for programming and not only programming questions works nowadays. And the last one for today is a login and monitoring solution for Azure Exercise. And this is about how you build a solution to monitor the resources that you're using on Azure, be it disk, virtual machines, containers, and other things. So this is a hands-on job, so it will get you through all the steps, how to design it, how to install it, how to use this monitoring, and so on. So this is a very useful exercise, especially if you work with Azure to understand how to build, production monitoring solution for cloud-based systems. And pretty much that's it. If you like the newsletter, make sure to subscribe it on like vivseldridge.dev site, or you can join the Telegram channel that has the link in the newsletter issue. You can subscribe for the newsletter there. And if you really enjoyed the whole newsletter thing, you can support the channel at Patreon and Boosty. Thank you very much, and see you in a week.